Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
What makes Randery Jewelers the opt?
Looking up at the sky.
The time is just gone 11 minutes past 9 a.m. as we continue with news and views this morning on Salam Media and the various platforms of Al Ansar, Durban, Pietermaritzburg, ITV viewers joining us this morning, and also One Nation 88.9 FM out of Polokwane. So we've got multiple viewership across various media platforms. Joining us live out of the IEC Results Operational Centre in Pretoria. The results at this point in time still trickling in pretty much the same. The ANC still hovering around the 47% mark, the DA on around 27%, the EFF 8%. These are the three top players. But the key question is, what impact are the other players likely to make? We see the entry of Action SA in South Africa. But before we get to speaking to some of the analysts who are with us this morning, we're going to go very quickly to Nafisa Saida, and this financial update is brought to you by Randery Jewelers. Nafisa, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you doing tonight?
Alhamdulillah, doing very well, and trust and hope that you casted your vote yesterday, Nafisa.
I did, alhamdulillah.
Well, good, man. Nafisa, we know there is a lot of talk about petrol price, the huge price, the rand under pressure, so much happening economically, as much as we see happening on a local government level with the elections.
Yes, absolutely. So the public holiday set aside for municipal elections in South Africa actually created a rand sell-off against the dollar. Political uncertainty as well as lingering power issues continue to weigh on the rand. This morning, the rand trading weaker at 15 rand and 40 to the dollar, 21 rand 2 cents to the pound, 17.87 to the euro, and 4 rand 10 cents for 1 Saudi real. And of course, the buzz around the country, South African motors will be hit with record high fuel prices from tomorrow, with economists and analysts warning that the petrol price will push over 20 rand a litre by the end of the year. The Brent crude this morning is at $86.27 a barrel, and a weaker rand has caused your gold prices to go higher. The Kruger rand crossing the 30,000 rand mark to 30,450 rand for an ounce. The Zahab medallion is now 29,175 rand. Dinar coin 5,950 rand, and your post dinar is 1,560 rand. That's it for your financial update.
Well, Nafisa, shukran for that, and as always, for your time with us here on Salam Media and the multiple platforms this morning. We wish you all the best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
This financial update brought to you by Randery Jewelers this morning.
What makes Randery Jewelers the optimum place for your memorable gift? Is it our range of exclusive, high-end, luxurious jewellery? Or is it our master craftsmanship of all your bespoke jewellery needs? We believe it's because at Randery Jewelers, we know just how to make your special moments last forever. Whether it's for a wedding, anniversary, or just a simple gift to show your love, trust Randery Jewelers to make it special. www.randeryjewelers.com. Make your moments last forever with Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
Africa Muslims Agency teams are on the ground in Afghanistan. Millions of people go daily without food. You can heal Afghanistan. Sponsor towards feeding a family at 1,500 a month or any amount. Visit africamuslimsagency.co.za or call 011-834-8685. Africa Muslims Agency, inspiring the spirit of giving.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Osman's Taj Mahal Spice and Rice. For over 80 years, Osman's Taj Mahal have been perfecting the art of the perfect blend of spices, pure, aromatic, and well-seasoned. Spices to tantalize your taste buds. From creative cuisines to gastronomical gourmet goodies. From exotic odors to traditional dishes, Osman's Taj Mahal have remained synonymous with quality spices and condiments. Taj Mahal rice, beans, and lentils. Try our range of chili bite mixes, rose and ilachi syrup, our quick and easy biryani pack, and our traditional range of spice blends. Osman's Taj Mahal. There is no substitute for quality.
DuziMed Medicine Depot Retail Pharmacy and Emergency Medical Depot. Conveniently situated in the DuziMed Medical Centre, Corner Burger and Boshoff Street, Pietermaritzburg. We provide safe, affordable and convenient medical facilities. Open till 10 p.m. every day of the year. We have a full house clinic that operates from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., which is run by a qualified sister. The clinic offers immunization, vaccination, wellness, general consultation, and more. Call DuziMed Medicine Depot on 033 3421 DuziMed Medicine Depot, your pharmacy of choice.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
AM as we continue with news and views this morning in the company of the viewers and listeners on the multiple platforms of Salam Media, Al Ansar, Durban, Pietermaritzburg, One Nation in Polokwane, and also ITV viewers who have joined us this morning. And joining me in studio this morning live at the IEC Results Operational Centre is politics editor with News 24, Kanita Hunter. Kanita, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Jazakallah so much for having me.
Yes, always exciting times at this time of the year, elections, and I think even your time when you were at CII, and I know the multiple elections that have covered, and your presence has always been noticeable here, Kanita.
Absolutely, it's a big one. It feels different this year, 2021 municipal elections, and I think the results that are trickling in shows us that it has a different fibre than before. And I think the biggest thing, Agrinayat, that we on the back of it, as we wait for obviously final results, is low voter turnout, and it's something that we've seen gradually over the years. But I think what we saw yesterday was probably in the territory of probably the lowest voter turnout since 94.
Yes, I see a lot of fingers are being pointed by some at the IEC in particular, and we know they tried to get this elections postponed.
Yeah.
But the Concord obviously has ruled otherwise, and just from a preparation perspective, but also some of the other issues, the use of technology, for instance, this time around.
Yeah. So they had these voter management devices, and the reason why the IEC rolled this out is so that they can get real-time data, and it was another step in the direction, and that's what the IEC chairperson Glenn Mashinini said last night, that they're working towards some sort of electronic voting. So this was like, this sort of an introductory step. However, what happened at voting stations was that those machines were faulty. They delayed results delayed voting in some areas, and as a result, people were just turned away. Some people were not captured by those devices. The information was not on those devices and were turned away. And then the IEC had to then scramble at the last minute to call those people, send them SMSs to say, come back and vote. Now, this is what the political parties are saying contributed to some level of disenfranchisement, some level of disillusionment by voters who showed up, and then you saw these long queues for 4 hours that were not going anywhere, and people turned home. The reality of it is that voter turnout plays a huge impact on the election results. Also, it's not just voter turnout as a bloc, it's who doesn't turn out. So, for example, the ANC is going to suffer significantly in Johannesburg because Soweto voters didn't turn out. And that is a huge voting bloc for the ANC. And yesterday you could see the evidence of just voter apathy.
Yes, and I think also if we play the numbers games, we know that there's just over 26 million that have been registered, but there are potential 40 million voters,
Yes.
that could possibly be registered in the country. And you look at a turnout of 8 million, which is about 20%
Yeah.
of the population that
That
have voted.
eligible
so
to vote,
80% are just not interested.
Absolutely, it's massive. I mean, that number of voter turnout will increase when we get final results in the IEC briefs us. I think that 8 million would be a bit more considering the evening vote. But I think that that it can be interpreted two ways. The first, a failure of the IEC to do its job to get people out to vote, and facilitating easy elections so people actually vote and cast their ballots. But then the second part of it is just a vote of no confidence in the political system. People are so disillusioned by the state of municipalities. They say, why bother? Also, it was a long weekend. People went away with their families. They didn't vote. And so there's all of these reasons, myriad of reasons. But at the end of the day, this level of voter turnout is devastating in terms of the democratic right of South Africans to cast their ballot and to effect change in their municipalities. We know that local government elections doesn't have the same hype as national elections. It's a general trend. But this low, I think it's a shock to many political parties, with political parties now pointing the finger at the IEC and not so much at the voters.
Yes. Now, let's just talk about with regard to the outcomes, and we see it on the leaderboard behind us here, where we see the top three. We see the ANC, DA, and the EFF. I think that's going to be a foregone conclusion. But to what extent are they going to be able to retain their support base? Are they going to gain ground? Are they going to lose ground? And also looking at some of the other players that may possibly impact on the outcome, like the new players, for instance, the Action SA, for example.
Yeah. So this election is not so much about that board in terms of the national figure. You have to zoom into the particular municipalities to see what the trends were. If you look at the municipalities that's just been called, there are 5 remote small municipalities, 4,000 or so voters in the Northern Cape, 1 in the Eastern Cape. You see the ANC, yes, the majority, but with a huge decline from 2016. The same with the Democratic Alliance, which for me is a very interesting thing, because you see a decline in support for the DA in its almost traditional wards. And then comes to the third. Who is third? And in Johannesburg, there's a lot of focus being put on Action SA and the amount of support they are going to be able to grasp. But in other municipalities where coalitions are going to be the order of the day, hung municipalities are going to be the order of the day. And as a result, it's very important to look at the third party. In some areas, it's the EFF. In some, it's local civic movements. I'm very interested in that. I have a peculiar interest in civic movements. So those are ordinary community people that came together, formed these parties, and if they're able to make it at number 3 in hung municipalities, they could be kingmakers in deciding what the outcome
Well, certainly.
is.
I think also when we talk about kingmakers and to see to what extent coalition affiliations are going to work, and we've seen it in the past, some of it obviously have been dismal failures.
Yes.
In many instances, we've seen coalition politics just not working, or these affiliations that
But
these
possibly
parties
in all coalition agreements that we've seen since 2016, the results hasn't been very good for residents.
Right. So I think that is obviously another area, and also looking at the number of independents this time around.
Yeah.
Many have opted out from the traditional political parties whom they supported over the years and have decided to become independents.
And that's as a result of that kind of voter apathy, where people saying we sort of fed up with traditional politics and we'll rather vote for the so and so. Obviously, a lot of independents come from political parties when they don't make it as a candidate for the ANC or the EFF or the DA, and they stand as independent. So that's also a case. But it's interesting to see the consequence of what Musi Maimane tried to pilot in this elections, to support independence, not form a political party, because there's 200 plus political parties. And so his thing is, let's train independents, let's give them support, and I think we will see the results, but mostly in your urban areas. I'm not so much in your rural areas, because but I mean it will be important to see the role independents play. Again, civic movements are also a sort of coming together of independent candidates, and they like in areas like Malutu Apofong, for example, these are former ANC people. These are people who, ratepayer organizations coming together and saying we need to stand with no political affiliation just to represent parties. Again, coalitions have been performing dismally for residents. There needs to be a rethink of how coalitions have been done, because we don't know what the agreements are that are made in back doors when after this vote and after we're done here, when parties then go and negotiate coalitions.
Yes, and also, Kanita, the extent to which the national political agenda has affected or impacted on these coalitions on a local level, because that is another factor that one cannot ignore.
Absolutely.
Well, Kanita, Jazakallah for that, and taking time out, I know, from your busy schedule, but pleasure having you here at our studio.
Barakallah, and all the best. This is absolutely important work, and keep it up. I think it's important for us to have as many voices as possible, and it's important for us to tell stories from different perspectives.
Jazakallah for that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam.
Kanita Hunter joining us this morning, and we will continue engaging with a lot more people off the floor this morning at the IEC Results Operational Centre. Stay with us.
Pandemic claims the life of a child. Unsafe water is having a devastating global impact on health and livelihoods. Islamic Relief is at the forefront, providing clean and safe water to vulnerable communities around the world. Our tailored approach to sustainable water solutions enable families not just to survive, but to thrive, ensuring they stay healthy and safe. Give water, give life with Islamic Relief.
These days, I'm more health conscious than ever. So tonight it's stir fry for dinner, cooked in healthy Helios pure sunflower cooking oil. Helios is pure sunflower goodness, packed with omega-6. That's good for your heart, and is approved as part of the Heart and Stroke Foundation eating plan. Dinner's ready! Helios, pure sunflower cooking oil. A healthy family is a happy one.
Alhamdulillah, we are finally free of riba. But it smells lovely.
Yeah, with Yakin, I managed to stop all the riba, Haju. Ach, this insurance price is going up again.
Oh, we are not free of riba, Babu. You need to stop the insurance.
We have to have insurance, Haju. You know how bad it is with all the crime and the accidents.
Have a little yakin now, Babu.
Yeah, man, I do have a little yakin. But I wish there was a way to leave all these riba insurance companies, man. It's my riba.
Babu, I can't handle this. The stench. It stinks.
Is that my underarms?
No, the riba stinks. Please find a way to stop this riba insurance, Babu.
Leaving riba insurance is easier than you think. Call Amana IFS for all your personal and commercial takaful needs. 0861 786 393. Amana, leave riba for good.
Amana IFS is a registered financial services provider.
Did you know that through SANZAF, you can provide a meal to an individual for only 12 Rand? By committing to a monthly contribution, you can assist us in reaching out to more communities and deserving individuals. A once-off donation will also be highly appreciated in helping us achieve our monthly target. For more information, call us on 011 834 6046. SANZAF, changing lives through development and relief.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world, where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain development company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
I've been waiting.
Gift of the Needy is working tirelessly to bring relief and hope to families burdened by poverty and distress. Our ongoing projects include aid to those affected and infected by COVID-19. Donate now. Standard Bank, Gift of the Needy, Zakah account 272-327-654. Visit our website on www.giftoftheneedy.com. Call 031-271-3102. Gift of the Needy, bringing ease to those in need.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
It's just gone 9:30 a.m. as we continue with election coverage live from the IEC Results Operational Centre. And joining me in studio this morning, Steve Swart from the African Christian Democratic Party. Steve, good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning, Inayat. And may I say salam alaikum? Did I get the pronunciation right? I hope
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much. And greetings to your listeners. And thank you for having me on your show today.
Yes, wonderful engaging with you here. I know we've spoken previously on Salam Media, and just looking at where we are at this point in time, just your initial reaction, your thoughts on how the elections have gone and what we are seeing at this point in time, Steve.
Well, we from the ACDP side just want to thank the Muslim community for the support for our values. We've got a lot of support in the Muslim community as well that stand for the values that we stand for as well, the moral values. But we are definitely concerned about the low voter turnout. Although it does benefit smaller parties, it doesn't benefit democracy in the long term. So it is a concern of ours that we had a low voter turnout. But that having been said, we also are concerned about the technical glitches that took place yesterday. We are concerned about 200,000 voters that were registered and they weren't on the voters' roll. So these are issues that can have an impact on the different wards, the different municipalities. And it's a bit of a concern, whilst we appreciate everything was concertinaed into basically 42 days to prepare for this election. Surely the IEC should have known beforehand that there's a possibility. We're concerned about some of the machines not working. And I think for those voters, and we had a number of calls of people that were turned away from voter stations where they said we did register or the machine's not working, and this does impact on the election results.
Well, it certainly does, because when one looks at political parties, you've had very little time to prepare. And also at the same time, from a campaigning perspective, we didn't have that traditional campaigning that we've become accustomed to, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic. And then you've got this added problem of inefficiency within the IEC. And the general sentiment that I'm getting from political parties are not happy.
Correct. And I think when one looks at the budget that the IEC has and the time they have to prepare, and again, I do say there was a shortened period, but they knew from some time ago that there was the possibility that the elections could take place now. And I think that they should have prepared better, particularly with the new machines. Whilst they could work very well to exclude voter fraud, if they're not working on the day, then it's a concern, a massive concern, because every person then feels that they took the trouble in the Western Cape where I was, that was pouring with rain, people standing in the rain for hours. They get there and then they're told, whilst they've traditionally voted at that station, they're not allowed to vote there. And this happened time and time again, and it's a deep concern, a massive concern.
Yes. Now, as the ACDP, just your initial feeling, how have the elections gone for your party?
Well, we're very encouraged by the results as they are starting to come in. We definitely are experiencing the growth that we experienced in the 2019 elections as well, where we did on a growth trajectory. And we think that in particular in the Western Cape, that we at this stage are doing better than the EFF, than the Freedom Front Plus, and so we will become a kingmaker in coalition discussions. We're a faithful coalition partner in the past, and we definitely as a nation, I know the voters will take some time to get used to this, but we're moving into the realm of coalition governments, and we are pleased that the hegemony of the ANC has been reduced. It can't continue. And as you might know, I was very involved in the state capture inquiry as a lawyer, as a member of parliament of the Justice Committee, the ESCOM inquiries, and we've seen this corruption, and I think the voters are just fed up with it. And so we've seen a large stay away, and that should be a concern as well, the fact of a low voter turnout. That's what I said earlier. Although it benefits smaller parties, it's not good for the legitimacy of your democracy if millions of people are staying away. And I think it's the challenge. We need to accept responsibility as politicians. Why are people staying away? Are they becoming disillusioned with the process? Yes, they are. And we can't just blame voter education. We've got to accept responsibility that people are getting fed up with politicians on the ground that are not providing much needed services. And I think particularly here at local government level, where you've got water issues, you've got sanitation issues, roads, potholes, people saying, what does it help to vote again? People promising and then not making a difference.
Yes, and I think also it's not only about the voter turnout. There are millions of potential voters who did not register for the election, because that is another factor.
Absolutely. So not only do you have millions of people not registering, then you've got millions of people that are registered that are not voting. And I think it will be an interesting statistic at the end of the day to see the majority party, the ANC, how many votes they actually get of eligible adults that could vote, that didn't register or didn't vote. And you'd see it's a small proportion of actual people that are supporting the majority party.
Well, Steve, thank you very much, and also taking time out from the floor and talking to us here at our studio.
Much appreciated.
All the best to you.
And thank you for your coverage, and thank you for Salam Media. I really appreciate the work that you're doing in spreading peace in our nation as well.
All the best to you, sir. Thank you
you
very much for that. Steve Swart joining us from the African Christian Democratic Party, and we also have got Mkini Chwaku, who are the EFF head of elections, will be joining us shortly as well. And there are just so many political personalities that are converging at the IEC Results Operational Centre this morning. So we're going to go for a very quick break. We come back and we'll be then joined by the head of elections with the EFF.
Now reopened on 235 Matthews Maiwa Road in Durban. Head on over for the Taste with Kick. We offer something scrumptious for everyone in the family. Wraps, chicken tikka, burgers, tender grills, mocktails, milkshakes, and so much more. Corporate and events catering available. Visit our social media pages for more info or call 031 209 0119. Kiki's, the Taste with Kick.
Africa Muslims Agency teams are on the ground in Afghanistan. Millions of people go daily without food. You can heal Afghanistan. Sponsor towards feeding a family at 1,500 Rand a month or any amount. Visit africamuslimsagency.co.za or call 011 834 8685. Africa Muslims Agency, inspiring the spirit of giving.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voter Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry. What makes Randery Jewelers the optimum place for your memorable gift? Is it our range of exclusive, high-end, luxurious jewelry? Or is it our master craftsmanship of all your bespoke jewelry needs? We believe it's because at Randery Jewelers, we know just how to make your special moments last forever. Whether it's for a wedding, anniversary, or just a simple gift to show your love, trust Randery Jewelers to make it special. www.randeryjewelers.com. Make your moments last forever with Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media. Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
The time is just gone 9:39 a.m. as we continue with the broadcast this morning on News and Views, on Salam Media, on ITV, on the platforms of Al Ansar Radio, Durban, Pietermaritzburg, One Nation 88.9 FM out of Polokwane this morning. And we are coming to you live from the IEC Results Operational Centre this morning. Now, we have with us in studio this morning Mtini Tswaku, the head of elections with the EFF. Mtini, good morning to you and welcome to our studio this morning.
Good morning. How are you?
All right, thanks. I know you mentioned to me during the break that you were very tired because I know the build-up to the elections, there wasn't much time to prepare this time around for the elections as well. So it's been pressure all the way.
Yes, as we said, as the EFF, that we're actually ready because we're anticipating that they might actually have these elections anyway. So we're always ready. We've got structures on the ground in all the wards in South Africa. We've got like the structure which are actually there. But it was very intense 4 weeks in terms of ensuring that everything is all right, everything is in place. And then also this uncertainty, whether we're going to have elections or not, it actually put also quite a lot of pressure in terms of being able to ensure that we push very hard and ensure that we reach all corners of the South Africa. But it was very tiring. And
yes. Now, obviously, we've been following the elections for a long time as well, and my time in the media, and I've watched actually the EFF grow. I still recall the interview I had at the election centre here at the Results Centre with Darlene Pofu, the very first election that the EFF had contested. So, tracking the progress that the EFF have made over a period of time. Now, I've been looking at the leaderboard, just over 8% of the vote in terms of what has been counted so far. Just looking at your performance, how do you think it went?
As you know, that if you look at the performance of the EFF from 2014, 2016 and 2020, it's always been going up all the time. That actually shows us that in terms of an organic growth within the organization, and also it just shows that in terms of the leadership style, that the leadership, the quality and the type of leadership that we're having, and the vision that this organization have in terms of making sure that we grow and ensure that our policies they're actually implemented. Even now, there's actually the actual signs of actually growth, because if you look at the municipalities, let me give you an example. In Tembelihle, we had one council there, where one public rep. Currently now we actually have 3, and we even won a award. And then if you look in areas like Kaima as well in the Northern Cape, we didn't have a public representative there. Now we've actually gained one as well. So these results are showing that every time the EFF is in a continuous, we're actually growing all the time. So as we've seen on the by-elections that we've been having as well, I'm always been coming on the shows to saying that we are using these by-elections as a scientific tool to look at the organic growth of the EFF, and we're saying that we are increasing every time. We've never actually lost a vote. We've always been increasing all the time. So the trend that we're seeing now currently is when in time is the same, that is sort of the trend that we've been seeing as we've been doing these the by-election, an increase every time. So we're experiencing growth.
Now, just looking at the successes you've achieved, to what do you attribute the success? Is it just pure disillusionment with the likes of the government, the ruling party, or are there other factors that are playing out?
Sorry?
I said in terms of the success that the EFF has achieved, the growth that you have achieved over a period of time. Obviously, there is a lot of disillusionment with regard to the ruling party, the ANC as well, and that is where I think when looking at your support base, would you say a lot of your support base coming from there?
Yeah, look, the most of also the ANC were actually contesting in the same, in the same pool, but you can say the same constituency. As you've seen now, people are starting to realize that the ruling party is not actually delivering what it promised from 1994 up until now. When you go to the municipalities, lack of service delivery, maladministration, corruption that is actually happening there. Actually, everything has been, has actually been more stagnant. There's not been any, quality, service delivery and all of that. And also, the issue of, the housing, the water and sanitation, there are areas which is quite pathetic. There are areas in South Africa where you find that people don't have water. They're sharing water with the animals. So you're experiencing that. And also look at the area like in the Hammanskraal, a typical place in Gauteng. You still have a place where people are actually, are starting, to struggle with that. So people are starting to really realize that there is an alternative vehicle, which is the EFF. And the EFF, it wants to get ready when the people are really tired about, on this, the ruling party. There must be an organization that's going to be taking over and ensure that we actually take over government.
And just finally, what would you be satisfied with in terms of the outcomes for the EFF this time around?
Taking over the municipalities. Taking over the municipalities and all of that.
Well,
because remember, every time you aim for the best every time.
Exactly.
Yeah, total takeover and all of that. And I mean, obviously, whatever happens, then there will be talks and all of that in the leadership of the EFF, as we did in the 2016. They will be able, to have those engagements in terms of, the arrangement in terms of, how to form government and all of that. And you know that what we always put in front all the time is our non-negotiable, the 7 cardinal pillars. We actually put that, and then also we ensure that whatever the discussions we are having, we don't compromise on those.
So we do appreciate you taking time out, obviously, coming up here and talking to us.
No, thank
All
you very
the best
much.
to you, sir. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mtini Nswaku, head of elections at the EFF, was us this morning. And when we come back, we still are talking with Lulu White Rahim this morning. We're talking about voter apathy because that seems to be the major talking point and also a major gripe on behalf of the political parties. We're going to go for a quick break. We'll be back.
Thank you.
This world do not have access to safe, clean water. In developing countries, around 80% of all illnesses are due to contaminated water and poor sanitation. Don't let dirty water end a life. Build a water well in Bangladesh, Malawi, Nepal, Zimbabwe, or here at home in South Africa. Donate to Penny Appeal's Thirst Relief Project to bring safe, clean water to communities around the world. www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Kids these days are smart, and when you're competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil. Now we're cooking.
Did you know that you can get the latest humanitarian news and updates from the Al Imdad Foundation by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube? You can also receive our flash updates via WhatsApp by adding 082 591 6430 as a contact and sending us a WhatsApp message with your name. That's 082 591 6430. Visit alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
On the 1st of November 2021, Mzansi heads to the polls.
Stay tuned and in touch as Salam Media brings you the latest news and insights on your local government elections, live from various voting stations.
Be sure to exercise your right and vote wisely, because your vote makes a difference.
Remember, your vote is your voice.
This is Salam Media.
Various Political parties live at the IEC Results Operational Centre. As far as the results are concerned, pretty much the same from where we started off this morning when we looked at the update. Around 46% was the ANC, 8% was the EFF, and 27% was the DA, and those are the three big ones that have come through. But also the smaller parties playing a major role, and we're talking this morning with Mzwandile Shleko, who is the National Elections Coordinator with COPE, and he's sitting right next to me, obviously in studio with me, the bright yellow shirt, looking very, very pleased with himself. Great to have you with us, Mzwandile.
Thank you very much, Wadi, and your listeners at home.
Yes, just looking at COPE, and I know we've been engaging with COPE for many years and covering elections, particularly at the Results Centre. And I know every year without fail we speak to a representative from COPE. So glad you're able to join us. Just your initial thoughts on how you see how the elections have gone and what you are seeing emerging at this point in time.
Yeah, the first thing I would like to thank the voters at home, those that have managed to go out and vote for their political parties. Really, our democracy is maturing. As much as I was not so impressed about the turnout, because we thought when people are angry with a certain party, we are in a multi-democratic party, then they will multi-party system, they will go and show that by voting for another party. But so far, so good. Things are still going well for us.
Yes, and just looking at COPE in terms of your strategy coming into these elections, I know many political parties did not have a lot of time to prepare for the elections. The campaigning has been very, very different this time around with the pandemic, and just looking at your expectations coming into the election.
Well, we are forced to change things based on the new arrangement of the pandemic and so on. So we had to rely more on social media and the radio like yourselves and so on. The thing of going door to door is the thing of the past. We tried now, but the time was not enough, but we cannot complain about that because all of us, we knew that local government elections are coming in 2021. So we are convinced that we have done something. We are just waiting for the results now. Because out of the 278 or 275 municipalities in South Africa, we are contesting 105. So to show that at least we have done something.
Yes. Now, looking at COPE, and I know particularly in the Eastern Cape, where you featured more prominently compared to the other provinces around the country, and looking also at coalition politics, being kingmakers, and the prominent role that COPE had played, particularly in the Eastern Cape. Are you expecting that to be pretty much the same? And looking at the Eastern Cape, which is the stronghold of a more traditional support base for COPE?
No, things have changed, Wajib, but we're having a hope that we are going back to our previous position in a number of municipalities in the Eastern Cape. As we're doing campaign, there were positive results that were coming. We're just waiting for the outcome now to check. But our target was that in areas where we have already councillors, we need to increase at least to a minimum of 3. So that was our target. So we're working on that, and we hope we're still going to reach our target.
Well, I see you notes, you mentioned hope twice, so it's hope in COPE.
Thank you.
Well, wonderful. Just as far as outcomes is concerned, what are your projections, or what are you predicting for COPE?
The current stands, as things stands now, we have about 46. Previously, of course, the term is ending. We're having nationally 46 councillors. Our target was that to increase that at least to 58 or 59 or 60. For now, we're not going for 100. We're saying let's defend. What was key to us is to defend what you have and increase, so that at least, because the party is turning the corner, you know the history that we don't need to go back to that history again, but we need to learn from that history and move forward.
Well, Mzwandile, thank you very much for that, and obviously taking time out, talking to us. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Wadi.
Yes, Mzwandile Shleko, a COPE National Elections Coordinator, with us this morning here on Salam Media at the studios. And just behind me, I was having a quick peek at the leaderboard, and the numbers pretty much the same. And I'm sure by this afternoon we would find a lot more results starting to trickle in, and by this evening much more. Hopefully by tomorrow sometime the outcome would have been finalized. Close on to, well, we have been told that around 8 million people have basically cast their votes. That could be a lot more because of last night, where last minute before the polling stations had closed, where people had made their way to the polling stations. But again, clearly the message is very, very clear that is coming through from all the political parties that we have been speaking this morning to. There is massive disappointment, particularly at the IEC, the manner in which they had managed this entire process, the introduction of technology that hasn't worked, and also at the same time looking at people that have been misplaced as far as where they should be voting or they should not be voting, because we've heard many complaints coming through already where people had turned up at polling stations to find that they were not on the voters roll. They were told to go and vote somewhere else, and this is the reason why many people had not voted, and this is the reason why we see such a low voter turnout. Now, is this a trend? Is this what is likely to happen in South Africa, where close on to 8 million of potential 40 million voters in the country, which tells us that 80% of the people are just not interested in voting in the country. But yes, the last 5 minutes of the show, and we're honored to have with us none other than, and I suppose most of our viewers, our listeners know him, Maulana Sulaiman Rawat, Radio Islam International. Maulana, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you, Inayat, and to all the listeners of Salam Media.
Yes, Maulana, I see Radio Islam International also part of the broadcast. How's the broadcast going for you?
Oh, very well, alhamdulillah. We did our morning breakfast show, Sabah Muslim, from year 6 to 9, and we'll be here throughout the day, and then obviously the afternoon drive and the evening roundup, all live here from the Rock, as they call it.
Yes, Maulana, I think you and I, obviously we sit in the studio every morning and we broadcast from there. And it's at events like this, because these are issues that we talk about on a day-to-day basis. And when an event like this comes and gives us an opportunity to cover the elections, at and then what we also see is to many of the people that we've been talking to over the period of time, engaging, get to seeing them broadcasting live, just a completely different feel.
No, absolutely, and I mean, it's good for Muslim media, I think, to be in the forefront. Many of the personalities, like this morning we did an interview with John Steenhuisen, they speak to you on the phone from time to time, but it's good to interface and to engage directly. And it's, I think, a good message to the broader South African society to show that Muslim media takes an interest in terms of what's happening in the country, and that whilst we may have different religious beliefs to other people, we still have the common interests of the country at heart, and that our religious values actually encourage us to take interest and to contribute via the media, and to keep our listeners and to keep our communities informed, because the greatest hindrance here is ignorance. When voters, when citizens don't know, or they have the incorrect information, and that's where we play a part as Muslim media. We bring them whatever else mainstream media will bring them, but we give them the religious perspective coupled and combined with that.
Exactly, Maulana, and I think what you've touched on is extremely important, because it just shows how far Muslim media has come in this country, and also at the same time the contribution that Muslim media makes in the media space.
Absolutely, and I think that the mainstream media as well as mainstream politicians have started to recognize that, and they started to acknowledge that, and that's why you see space being given for the likes of yourselves and Radio Islam and other Muslim media in our country. They appreciate our contribution, and I think our existence now is established. We obviously have a very challenging task. I mean, the community is disillusioned in the main. Whilst people may get excited about the numbers and how close it's going to be, and coalitions and hung councils, the majority of your listeners and our listeners are sitting at home and saying, but what difference is all of this going to make?
Exactly.
Everyone said no, the ANC had become complacent and they'd become arrogant because they get a majority every election. That changed in 2016, but service delivery didn't improve. The DA were in charge in Joburg, for example, for 3 years. We saw what happened in Nelson Mandela Bay. We saw what happened in Tshwane. They were playing musical chairs, and mayors were changing faster than one would ever imagine. Will coalition politics mature now? It looks like many of the major metros are going to go the route of coalitions. If you look at the initial projections and predictions, the ANC will perhaps keep some, like Buffalo City and maybe Mangaung. The DA will keep Cape Town. But if you look at Joburg, Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, it's close. Even eThekwini, if the ANC gets the majority, it would be by a much slimmer margin. But the question in people's minds, and this is the burning question, will all of this make a difference? And I think that's why there was such a low voter turnout, despite the fact that we as Muslim media and the ulama and the leaders were encouraging people that even if you're disillusioned, go out and vote. Don't let the decision be made for you. Try and influence the decision in the best interest of the community as far as possible. But people didn't heed. I think people are really fed up, and I hope the politicians will take a lesson from this.
Well, certainly, and also, Maulana, I think looking at our traditional viewership and listenership as well, a lot of work needs to be done, because we've seen with all the political parties a lot of finger pointing at this point in time with regard to the IEC inefficiencies within the system, but also calling for voter education, for people to recognize the fact that elections like these, the role that they play in terms of shaping communities, shaping societies, and we've got as communities within ourselves, we have a lot of work to do in that regard, particularly the youth, because obviously they are the future. We know of many young people who have not even bothered to register.
Yeah, the youth vote is definitely a concern, and voter apathy and ignorance is an ongoing challenge. But I think this time around, if we want to see things change, politicians have to come to the party. People get excited when they see a ward councillor who takes his or her job seriously and makes a genuine effort. I think at some level they understand that the ward councillor doesn't have a magic wand and can't resolve all issues. They are entities beyond the ward councillor. There's City Power, for example. There's Joburg Water, for example, in the Joburg context. The ward councillor doesn't control all of that. The ward councillor doesn't control ESCOM. But if you're just seen, I mean, the bar is so low these days. If a ward councillor is just visible, available, I think that in itself generates a lot of appreciation from the community. And it's time now that the politicians and the political parties put South Africa top of the list in terms of priorities, and let their respective political careers and petty infighting take a bit of a backseat now.
Well, Maulana, I know you've been here 6 a.m. this morning. It's been a long morning already, but Jazakallah taking time out and obviously spending the last few minutes with us here at the Salam
Always
Media
a pleasure,
Studios. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Rahmatullah.
Yes, Maulana Suleiman Rawat joining us this morning in studio live at the IEC Results Operational Centre. And with that, we headed for 10 a.m. It's time for me to sign off for this morning. But remember, a lot more to come on Salam Media this morning throughout the day and also towards the evening where the results will be coming through. So it's been wonderful. It's been great being in your company. Our Salam Media listeners on the various platforms, our Al Ansar listeners, Durban, Pietermaritzburg, One Nation, 88.9 FM, and also ITV viewers. Great having you with us once again this morning. I'm going to be signing off until we meet tomorrow once again from myself and the team. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.